Today, in the media conference with Lal Goel, which is brought to you by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV India, News गांव से, संवाद सारोकार न्यूज, भारत पोस्ट न्यूज, ऑर्गन डोनेशन इंडिया फाउंडेशन, ज्ञान and Indo-Gulf Management Association. Our endeavor is to enlighten you with the current topics. And today our topic is challenges for first generation entrepreneurs. But before I will go on the main topic, I would like to inform you that today is the World Day for International Justice. World Day for International Justice, also referred to as Day of International Criminal Justice or International Justice Day, is an international day celebrated throughout the world on July 17th as part of an effort to recognize the emerging system of international criminal justice. July 17th is the... One moment, please. July 17th is the date of the adoption of the treaty that created the International Criminal Court. On 1st June 2010, at the review conference of the Rome Statute held in Kampala, Uganda, the Assembly of State Parties decided to celebrate 17th July as the Day of International Criminal Justice. Each year, people around the world use this day to host events to promote international criminal justice, especially support for the International Criminal Court. Media conference with Lal Goel hopes that by observing this day, we will create more awareness for international justice. Now, coming our main topic, challenges for first generation entrepreneurs. If someone else has done it before, you can too. No one starts successful. You take the first step and keep working. An entrepreneur is an individual who creates a new business, bearing most of the risks and enjoying most of the rewards. The process of setting up a business is known as entrepreneurship. The entrepreneur is commonly seen as an innovator, a source of new ideas, good services, and business of procedures. Most entrepreneurs are first-time entrepreneurs. They have never done this before and are very excited about starting a startup. These are usually young students who feel that being an entrepreneur is the best way of being able to change the world. They are very gung-ho and are optimistic that they will be able to implement the great ideas which they have been working on, which is why they go looking for investors to back them. Occasionally, the first generation entrepreneur is a more seasoned, mature professional who has worked for a few years in a job and now wants to strike out of his own because they want to be independent. They are fed up of being stiff in a corporate job which straitjackets them and want to be in charge of their own destiny. First generation entrepreneurs face many challenges in today's ultra-competitive business world. Fortunately, entrepreneurs also have more resources than ever before to tackle those problems. The most important challenges faced by many first generations entrepreneurs today are. Now, I am going to list few of the challenges because we have a very elite panel with us and they are going to tell the challenges as well as the solutions. But I am going to list the challenges only. The first is the cash flow management. Cash flow is essential to small business survival, yet many entrepreneurs struggle to pay the bills while they are waiting for checks to arrive. Part of the problem stems from delayed invoicing, which is common in the entrepreneurial world. You perform a job, send an invoice, then get paid, hopefully 30 days later. In the meantime, you have to pay everything from your employees, contractors, raw materials to your mortgage or rent, etc. Waiting to get paid can make it difficult to get by, and when a customer does not pay, you can risk everything. Being first generation entrepreneur, your sources are also limited. Hiring employees. Do you know who fear job interviews the most? It is not prospective candidates, but first-time entrepreneurs. The hiring process can take several days of your time, reviewing resumes, sitting through interviews, sitting through unqualified candidates. Then you only hope you can offer an attractive package to get the best people on board and retain them, as you lack experience as of old-timer entrepreneur. Time management. Time management might be the biggest problem faced by the first-time entrepreneurs who wear many and sometimes all hats. If you only had more time, you could accomplish so much more. Delegating tasks. You know you need to delegate or outsource tasks, but it seems every time you do, something gets messed up and you have to redo it anyway. Choosing what to sell. You know you could make a mint if you just knew what products and services to sell. You are just unsure how to pick a niche. Marketing strategy. You don't know the best way to market your products and services, print, online, mobile, advertising, etc. Because you are a first generation entrepreneur. So the experience is not there with the current situation. You want to maximize your return on investment with efficient targeted marketing that gets results. But many times, due to lack of experience, you fail. Capital. You want to start or grow your business, but you have little capital to do it with. Strapped budget. Even though cash flow is fine, it seems you never have enough in your budget to make your company to its full potential. Business growth. You have come to the point at which you cannot take on any more work in your current structure. Self-doubt. An entrepreneur's life is not easy, at least in the beginning. It's extremely easy to get discouraged when something goes wrong or when you are not growing as fast as you wanted to. Self-doubt creeps in and you may feel like giving up. Now, how does COVID-19 affect challenges for first-time entrepreneurs? In general, during the pandemic, entrepreneurs with a younger business were more likely than those with an older business to report that potential barriers were a challenge. Across business age, the first generation entrepreneurs were most concerned with finding new customers. Accessing growth financing during COVID-19 conditions was a bigger challenge for first-time entrepreneurs. To sustain without much help during lockdown is a very big challenge for first generation entrepreneurs. So to discuss this very, very important aspect and the point that is the challenges for first generation entrepreneur, we have a very elite, experienced, those who are authority in this field panelist with us. And I would like to invite my first panelist guest. He is Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal. Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal is the former Professor of Marketing, Innovation and Management, IIM Lucknow, XLRI Jamshedpur, and California State University, USA. He is President of Indo-Gulf Management Association. He is US Fulbright Fellow Boston, EFMD Fellow Paris, and British Council Fellow London. In 2019, he was ranked among the 251 most fabulous global education leaders. Welcome, Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal on our show. Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal, you are quite senior in the marketing, innovation marketing and management, and you are seeing not only from the prospects from India, but all over the world. And right now, as you are based in UAE, you are seeing what is happening around the world. And especially, although the first generation entrepreneur, we have already seen the track records that they are successful, but not in the percentage which everybody expects. But recently, with the new things, which is the startups, which has come up, and the track record is saying startup across the world is that 90% plus startups are failing. Now, it means lots of challenges are there in front of the first timers, the entrepreneurs. So we would like to know from you your views on challenges for first generation entrepreneurs and definitely we would like to know some solutions also. Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agarwal, please. Please unmute.
Thank you very much, Mr. Goel. You always give us a very good start on which we can, try to build something of our own, although we will never be able to match the kind of introduction that you make with this kind of knowledge that you bring in to the table, and with your very clear and direct answers to questions as well as highlighting the problems. Years ago, I had seen a very wonderful movie, Hollywood movie it was, of Tom Hanks, which received an Oscar, not only for the, in fact, both lead actors received the Oscar award, and that movie was Cast Away. In that movie, Castaway, he was the only person working throughout the film because he was by some bad accident was found into an island where there was no one, and he didn't know how to contact the uh, outside world. He did not know how to get out, and he was really going crazy into that. He was not prepared for that. He was not ready for that particular experience. And also, one more thing was there, that after some time he needed someone to talk to. So he created a person out of a ball, playing ball, football it was. And that became his buddy, that became his friend, and that he started talking, to every day, because he really needed to express, touch base his ideas and all that. And eventually, when he was somehow found and rescued by a ship, and when he went to return the package that he had, because he was representing FedEx in that particular movie, then the person said, but you know that there was a satellite phone into this particular package, and you could have used that particular package, and your ordeal could have been shortened by just few hours rather than so many years that you spent on Castaway Island. Now, there is some insight and lesson for first time entrepreneurs also in this. That when you start, the entire horizon, the entire field is yours. You have no help available, but you need to create some help, create some support system in your ecosystem of entrepreneurship. Now, this particular support system is not necessarily among the highest strengths of the first time entrepreneurs. They think that they are fully competent, fully equipped, and fully resourced for themselves because they have the idea, because they were the founder, because they face the problems. And without doubt, they did all what they are saying. But that is not the road to excellence. That probably could be at most a road to survival, not a road to excellence. I am fully, aware of one consulting assignment I had done 2.5 decade ago for one of the finest, brands in India called Sydney Fan, Sydney Black Table Fan, which came from a city called Banaras. And when they invited me to look at their marketing angle and all, I was surprised that they had a product, but they didn't want to change the product, even though the product features, product market, competition had brought a lot of lighter version of that fan, much more beautiful and elegant, not necessarily metal, but also other kind of material, which were making the fans stronger but not heavier, and much more heavily performing, not necessarily with the sound that the cine fan was making when it was at the height of its speed. What is the point here? The point here is that they become lover of their own idea. They become lover of their own product. They become lover of their own technology. And in a way, they become almost like Yashoda Maya, who could never see anything wrong with Krishna, even though when he was doing one or the other kind of pranks here or there. Of course, we can say all that because we are talking about the Almighty. But if we are talking about an ordinary person, these things could be a problem. for any mother, for any parent, that his or her, the same thing can happen for first time entrepreneurs. And first time entrepreneurs have become Yashoda Maya to that particular thing, that they can see nothing wrong. So the second problem arises. The first was not able to see the team value, but also the second one is that where they do not know what is the basic difference between business and technology. Sometimes they understand business, but they ignore technology. Sometimes they understand technology, but they ignore the business value of that particular technology. They do not know what market wants or what market thinks of the technology they have, because they are in love with the technology that they have. So this is the second issue, and which is fusion between your technology and business model. Are they making sense in perfect unison, not one or the other, but sense in terms of business unison, that technology and business is happening in the same way or not? So this is the second issue. The third issue is that these people are unable to build a business model. They are able to build a business, but not necessarily a business model. And business model is that where they will make money. That's why there is something called mentors. All startups which you have mentioned today, and in fact one where India's biggest startup closed yesterday for public issue, the Zomato, which is facing huge problems because for the last 4 years it is making losses, and in the next 3 4 years also they are not projecting any profit, and still it is now $1 billion company in terms of, or more than $1 billion in terms of valuation of that particular company. So valuation and business models do not necessarily match, and that is why there is an issue in terms of their survival, that they have valuation, but over a period of time that valuation depletes because they had no business model from that point of view. So probably the next point which I would like to say is that they should look for mentors, because you said solutions are also needed. Sometimes they don't build the mentorship. Sometimes they feel that because they are building their business, others should help them by way of duty. No, you're not doing a charity work. You are doing a business. So build money and funds for this kind of advisors also, advisory also. I remember number of companies whom I helped who were Tata Motors subsidiaries in Tata Nagar. All of them had built money and funds for that particular advisory services, because Tata Motors had insisted that each and every ancillary not only comply with their quality standards, but also reduce their cost of production every 2 years by 6%, because they were going to reduce the price of the suppliers every 2 years 6%, because you have got what is known as experience curve. An experience curve or learning curve means that you should be expending lesser resources for doing what you are doing next time at the same level of quality, because you have the experience. Now that was the angle that they had learned from Ford Motor Company. Ford Motor Company had done exactly the same thing. So therefore, this is another thing that I would say first time people should do. The last problem that I would like to say, and then I would also like to listen to my wonderful colleagues who are here, is that they are unable to understand what is known as family, life, network, business balance. Family, business, network. All the three things are important. Sometimes they don't pay equal attention to networking. Networking has one of the greatest advantages today because of social media, and much more, facilitated. They don't spend time on it. They consider this as a waste of time. Oh, I'm here to produce. I will produce. I will not attend A meeting, B meeting, C meeting of this association, that association. I think that's a mistake. That's a folly. They should revise their thinking in this particular thing. Similarly, family. Family can be a great source of encouragement as well as your strength in terms of bad times. They can provide some excellent advice, whether it is your wife or husband or son or brother. They may not be active players in your business, but they are active stakeholders in your well-being. So therefore, this particular point should also be taken into account. Then business. Now, just because it is your business, you are not owner of that business. You are the trustee of that business. And trustee of the business means that you have number of responsibilities and accountabilities. You owe it success to the people who are working with you. So you cannot just close it down. So my thought that why first time generation entrepreneurs are not doing so well, probably many other reasons, but according to me these are the three or four reasons. Number one, failure to develop a team. Number two, failure to distinguish between technology and business. Number three, failure to allocate equal time to family, business, and network. And number four, probably not building enough resources for external advisors, because that will help them in terms of, they think that these advisors are advisors. They are not experienced people in my business. Sorry, nobody has to be experienced in your business to advise you about your business. They know general models. They know, they have experience across the range. And that particular range can be helpful to us because we do not learn from our own peers. We learn from our competitors also. We learn from our what is known as outside the industry peers also. And like at one point of time, this credit card company, American Express, learned from the hotel business that how to check in terms of 10 seconds. They took the same time in order to check in for their credit card, and they revamped the entire application form because they said, let's look at from Marriott, let's look at from other hoteliers, that how they are doing in terms of checking in. So with this few words, I would like to thank you one more time for allowing me this opportunity to share some of my ignorance and also the opportunity to learn from everyone. Thank you, Mr. Lal.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal, for giving your views. And Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal has very clearly mentioned about the challenges, but he is also giving some solutions. And he says that it is like that a first entrepreneur who is coming, he always thinks that he's always right because he is having his own ideas. And first entrepreneurs generally are a young age. And I know because when I became the first time entrepreneur, the first generation, rather, I will say the entrepreneur, the same question was asked in the press conference and the brokers conference, how come Mr. Goel, being a first generation entrepreneur, you are going to face? At that time, although I confidently reply, but I know that how much problems one faced because of the lack of experience. And as Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal, the last point which I would like to take as a first point, which he has mentioned about that they fail to understand the family, the business and network. And that is where the first point is. The first generation entrepreneurs should understand the family is very, very important. They should listen to the family. They might not be a professional, they might not be a entrepreneur, they might not be as educated, knowledgeable like you, but they might be having some ideas to see, because they are seeing from outside. You are sitting and seeing everything from inside. So you have a cocoon built around you. You will not see beyond that, but they can see from outside. So that is very important. Secondly, he says about the business. You according to your ideas is very good that you want to do it, but the business has to be very dynamic. Business has to change time to time. Until as you will not change the business module, it is going to flame, and that is what we are seeing in the startups. And the third is network. That is the crux today. Anywhere, if you see, the networking is required, and what this COVID has taught a lesson, the networking is the main. Now he has also mentioned about Zomato. Zomato was running in losses because nobody wanted to have the delivery for food delivery. They used to go to the restaurant. They take the enjoy, because especially many countries, rather I will say almost everywhere, people wants to go out. They are busy whole day. They are busy, so they want to go out. But the Zomato was not doing well. But during the pandemic time, the Zomato, because there was no way to go to the restaurants, so the Zomato succeeded because, and they have encashed to their IPO was oversubscribed several times, because today even a small city knows about the Zomato. Everybody knows about the Zomato. So that they have encashed. I think that is a very, very good strategy. Whosoever has planned that this is the right time to bring the IPO, because everybody was talking about Zomato. Once the this lockdown will be over and the pandemic will be over, people will again rushing to the restaurants and they will forget about the Zomato. So, but he says that Zomato is not was not doing well, and the projections are also not good. And he insisted, because he says the business model should be that you are not only doing something, you have to see to it that you are going to earn money, because you are a
Yes, that's
trustee.
exactly.
You are a trustee. You are of a trustee of a business. It is not your whims which will work. And he has given an example of Tata Motors. He says that Tata Motors, their subsidiaries or those who are or units are told to reduce by 6% the expenditure every 2 years or whatsoever time. Or how much time, Professor?
2 years, two
Every
years.
2 years. Sorry,
Every
yeah.
year, 2 to 3%.
Yeah. So now, because of their experience of so many, more than century, so they have the experience. The group have experience and they have learned. But the first time entrepreneur think, know why to go for this. And I can give you example. Lots of startups, they fail because they are getting so much easy money initially. With the venture capital and the series A, B, C, whatsoever. So they feel now we are sitting on a cash pile, we have to spend, and they spend on those things which are not required. So that is one. And he has also given an example of Sydney fan. I still remember when we are child, or rather at that time only that fan, and it used to make a very good noise. And it's very heavy with many times it's give you the shock if you just touch it. I still remember my fingers were burnt because there was a switch down below. Professor Agarwal can vouch for me. So all these things, but they have not changed as per the time, because they love their own technology or their own product. And he has given also the example of Yashodama. Yes, but Yashodama example, I will not term it, because she knows who is Krishna. And, but to have this Sini, yes, you are right. And even last time also I mentioned about the Sumit
Yes,
Mixies.
Mixie, Sumit Mixie.
Sumit Mixie was one of the best Mixie at one time and most sellable Mixie. Everybody wants to
Yeah,
take the Sumit.
yeah.
They have also not changed. They said, no, our product is the Rolls Royce car and we will not change. And they have suffered. Now so many new Mixies have come. So according to Professor Dr. Monlal Agarwal, there are lots of challenges. But if the first time entrepreneur should learn from the lessons what the earlier people have done, not from his own family, but from others, then he can be successful. Otherwise, what we are seeing for the startups, they will flat what's your money you have. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agarwal, for giving such a good opening. I'm sure the once the opening is so good, so everybody will be playing very nicely today. Now I would like to invite my next guest, panelist guest, and he's Dr. Srinivasan R. Professor Dr. Srinivasan R is the professor and head of KIET School of Management, Ghaziabad. He is a PhD in financial risk management. He has about 35 years of experience in the industry, teaching, research, and consultancy. He has been associated with some of the top institutes and universities of India and abroad. He's always, many times he is invited as an expert by various departments and ministries of Government of India. Dr. Srinivasan has published several research papers in leading and reputed international and national referred research journals. Welcome, Professor Dr. Srinivasan, on our show. Professor Dr. Srinivasan, you have heard what Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agarwal has spoken, and he has given a few of the challenges which he considers are the main challenges. One of the among those challenges which a first generation entrepreneur is facing. Now, we would like to know your views on the challenges for first generation entrepreneurs. Professor Dr. Srinivasan R, please.
Thank you, Dr. Agarwal, for such a wonderful introduction as well of myself, as well as the introduction to the entire topic. After you and Dr. Mohan Agarwal, I find it really challenging. You have really covered the entire gamut of things that are faced by the first-time entrepreneurs. There, according to some statistics, about 90% of the startups fail within first 3 years of their existence, and about 95% of the startups fail within first 5 years of existence. Beyond that, only 5%, beyond 5 years, only 5% of the startups exist. So this is the statistics. And probably if we take out more statistics, probably beyond 30, 40 years, there are hardly any organizations that exist, businesses that continue to exist. If we say for the last 100 years, only a couple of businesses, as far as India is concerned, we can count on our hands. Here, I would like to quote Usain Bolt, the famous, one of the most successful athletes of all times. He is a short distance runner, more famous for gold medals in his 100 meters and 200-meter races. He says, easy is not an option. Number of no off days, never quit, be fearless. Talent you have naturally. Skill is the only developed by hours and hours of hard work. I would like to further quote him that I trained for 20 years to achieve the 9-second success. So whenever we are seeing, we have quite often heard about the tip of the iceberg. We know that tip of the iceberg is a very small portion which is visible above the waters, but there are miles below the iceberg which is submerged into the sea. So we need to understand that the tip which is visible, that is the success, and the iceberg that is not visible down below is the hard work. So the first solution which I would like to give to the first-time entrepreneurs is, you cannot sleep. Whether you are 20 years old, 25 years old, or 70 years old, irrespective of whatever you have, your age is. If you have decided to become an entrepreneur, then you will have to always be alert. You will have to be always on the toes. It is your family and friends who would be reaping the benefits of your hard work. You will keep on working hard, working hard, working hard. So you will have to, the second point which I would like to quote here is, you will have to be flexible. What do you mean by flexibility? Many of the times I'm so much obsessed with my own ideas and thoughts, I feel this is the best idea in the world. And if you're not flexible, you will not pay any heed to your well-wishers, probably as Dr. Agarwal as well as Dr. Goel had mentioned initially, that you are not paying heed to your family, your friends, your well-wishers. So that is another challenge which is faced by, rather I would say, the mindset which is faced by the first-time entrepreneur. They are not flexible. They are so much obsessed with their ideas that they think that whatever product they have built, whatever services they are offering is the best in the world. And many times that becomes a pitfall for them. So you will have to be flexible. Unless and until you are flexible, you are ready to listen to others, your doomsday is not very far. And one of the most important thing which many first-time entrepreneurs, especially when they're young, fail to do is build a roadmap. They do not have a business plan in hand. I can quote from my one of my experiences. I had been a first-time entrepreneur when I was young, and I know firsthand as to what it was like. We used to travel on two-wheelers and slog it out almost 24/7. And we initially faced failures in one of our ventures also. So what I do in my classes is, since I'm associated with the MBA Institute, I make them build a business plan, because that is where they get to learn how to write a business plan. Because without writing a business plan, without putting your ideas into black and white, it will be very difficult for anyone to conceptualize as to what exactly you want to do. The first time, there was one boy, very young, 22 years old. He was doing, as usual, I was making them write a business plan and present it in from, there is a regular viva which was conducted. Ultimately, at the final presentation, he said he had built a business plan on plastic renewal of plastic waste and converting them into plastic granules so that they can supply to the plastic users, the consumers, the factories that are using the plastic granule. So he said there is a 50% profit, sir, and the investment is as low as only 2 million rupees. 2 million rupees would convert it into a few $1,000s. That's all. So the investment was very low. 50% is the profit margin, he said. I said, his name was Gopal. I said, Gopal, since we are talking about Krishna, the other name of Krishna is Gopal. So incidentally, it has so happened. I said, Gopal, this cannot be the case. If there is a 50% profit margin, then I will also jump into it. Let me give you that few thousands of dollars of rupees. You please build the business for me. I would like to invest in that. Then later on, after completing his MBA, he worked for 1 year, and he was not satisfied, because I believe, because even now that entrepreneurial spirit does not ever die away. Once an entrepreneur, you are always an entrepreneur. We want to do something or the other of your own, despite having left the business world some about 16, 17 years ago. I'm still, my entrepreneurial mindset still lives in me. It is breeding in me. I'm managing my own stock market investment. I do help others also in building a corpus, advising them so that my entrepreneurial spirit keeps on fire, keeps on glowing in light, keeps on lighted in me. So I told him, he started his own business in the plastic usage of renewable plastic, and he started his business. He said, he keeps on speaking to me. He said, he called me once. I said, Gopal, now what is the, you said in your business plan presentation that 50% is the profit margin. Now what is the reality? Sir, I have realized it is only 15%. Instead of 50, it has come down to 15%. And when I asked him as to what exactly we did not identify at the time of planning, he said there is a huge maintenance cost, because I'm using the wastage, plastic waste, and this is the waste management. There is a lot of maintenance which happens into my in my machines. My machine maintenance cost itself is eating into my profits. So it has come down to 15. So this is the lesson which at least I learned from my student. So you will have to be on your toes. You should not be obsessed to your ideas, because many times this is the major pitfall of any or every first-time entrepreneur. They are not doing their homework well. So market research, you will have to conduct a market research, and building a business plan is very much essential. Building a business plan does not necessarily mean the qualitative information. You will have to have the financial model. I would like to mention here, you may be, this may be based on the assumptions you are making, but realistic assumptions you'll have to make, because a lot of data today, with the advent of information communication technology, a lot of information is available. In the olden days when we were young, it was very hard to get any credible data. Now credible data is easily at a click of mouse, you get all the information. So that's what I keep telling my students also, that you should be building a business model, business plan, build a financial model, project it for next 10 years, do the valuation, and then assess, present it in front of some experts. It could be industry experts, it could be leading academicians who have gone through this rigmarole. This can be the only way you can. In B school, what we do is we put the students through the case studies. So that is a very helpful tool. Case studies are very helpful tool. So you should go through some before venturing into a startup or into building a business. You should always go through some, at least some short-term course, so that there is a basic background you have built. You have got an idea. You are not caught unawares. You are not caught wrong-footed. Case studies do help. In B school, there are entrepreneurship courses and all those things. So case studies, what do these case studies? Case studies are like flashlights, even though they are used, they use the historical information, but they do provide you with some guidance. It may not be, there are case studies do help, but only as much. It is like a pinch of salt. So pinch of salt is there only to add taste to your dish. It does not become the dish itself. It is like a flashlight where you are able to see only few feet in front of you. So it will be a guiding light. It will definitely provide you with some idea as to what business is all about, but it does not give you whole idea as to what a business plan in on the whole is going to be. Then they will have to look at the funds. This I always keep telling my students. The funds are very much essential for any and every business, because capital investment, there are two aspects to as far as funds are concerned. One is capex, capital expenditure. Another is the opex, the operational expenditure. Capex you can always find, but OPEX is the one which is the greatest challenge. Even though it is much less in percentage terms, CAPEX may be probably constituting 70-80% of your investments. OPEX is probably only 20%, but this 20% can make you sink, make your ship sink. There have been many businesses, great businesses. One of the great businesses which I can quote from the past, JK Synthetics was one of the pioneers in the nylon industry. In fact, they used to. I had been fortunate enough to work with the.
Your voice, sorry, your voice is not coming.
Okay, sir. I'll get a little.
Yeah. Now it's fine. Now it's fine. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to quote an example of JK business, JK Synthetics. JK Synthetics was a pioneer into the synthetic business, into the nylon business, much before Reliance came up with their Vimal suitings. So Vimal suiting, I was fortunate enough to work with the JK group. The promoter, Mr. Gaur Hari Singhania, used to always say that Dhirubhai Ambani used to be my client. He used to sit at my doorstep for hours to buy wholesale synthetic product, so that they can continue with their Vimal suiting. But we can say, we can see where Dhirubhai, the Ambani group, the Reliance Industries is today, because they did the backward integration. They went into the petroleum products. Now they have built their own refineries, whereas JK Synthetics fell flat 25 years ago because of their poor working capital management. What is this working capital management? In olden times, there used to be the sales, because I will bring in financial terms. The commercial accounting is based on accrual-based accounting. What do you mean by accrual-based accounting? I do the sale and immediately recognize my sales and profit immediately, irrespective of whether I'm receiving cash or not. I will not receive cash, whereas I'm showing sales and I am showing cost. supposing my returns are, let us say, 20%, I'm rupees $100. I'm investing. I'm putting $100. I made a sale of $100. My book profits are $20. $80 is my uh, cost, other costs, all the costs put together. So ultimately, but when I do not recover even this 100 rupees, my actual in terms, it is 80 rupees loss. The cost has been entirely lost. Whereas uh, the I in my book shows it is $20 profit. So this is the notion. If I'm not taking care of my lifeblood, working capital management is the lifeblood of any business for that matter. Therefore, taking care of working capital management, because I can buy an iPhone for rupees 1 lakh rupees if I talk about in Indian terms, or maybe $10,000 in dollar terms. It may be easy, but if I do not have the money to top it up on regular basis, I'm using it for within the first week itself. I'm expending all the pocket money that I have in talking to my girlfriend, and for the next 3 weeks, I'm uh, faced with the problem of not having any pocket money left anymore. I cannot ask my father for the pocket money. I cannot ask anyone else. So my iPhone, which was costing $10,000, is worthless. So besides that, the matured, there is an advice for the matured entrepreneurs also. You will have to build a corpus for your post, which I would call it as retirement plan. There has to be a retirement plan. You cannot put everything into the business itself and forget about it, because either you have a backup plan B, you can go back to the corporate world, or you have somebody, your wife, or maybe some support system you should be building. Without this support system, you will always be having self-doubt whether I can go ahead, I should go ahead or not. Even if you had gone ahead with your idea, the self-doubt will always pull you back. So this self-doubt has to be, once you have stepped on, if you have a backup system, that self-doubt will be mitigated enormously, and you should be in a position to go ahead with lots of confidence. That confidence will always come only with the backup plan, which is plan B. What happens? This. And you should not be, once you have gone ahead, you should not be looking back. There is no looking back. You may be failing for the first time. That is a learning for you. Like famously said, Thomas Alva Edison did not build the light bulb in a single day. He failed 999 times. And in the 1000th time, he could invent light bulb. But without that, we would not have been in such a great position as we are today. He learned 999 ways not to do, how not to build a bulb. So those are all learnings. With this, I would like to close, because there are so many other speakers also. I would like to conclude my first opportunity. Thank you, Dr. Goel, as well as Dr. Goel, for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Srinivasan, for giving your views. I will just highlight one or two views which he has made very, very interesting, and in very, I must say that it's a really something to be learned by the entrepreneurs. First thing is about the capex and opex. He says the capital expenditure to raise the funds is very easy. You can raise through venture capital or the IPO or through your own funds. But OPEX, that is the operating expenditure, or in other words, the revenue expenditures, are very, very difficult, because to sustain any business, the main thing is the operating expenditure, the revenue expenses. And for that, according to Professor Dr. Srinivasan, he has given an example of JK Synthetics vis-a-vis Reliance. And he says how at one time the rural of the synthetic world, JK Synthetics, collapsed, which while the Reliance, although they have started with Vimal, they have become huge today because of their backward integration and their zeal to do something new every time. So he says that one has to change their positions. They have to be very alert, hardworking. They should have a roadmap. They should have a business plan. And he has mentioned one more thing that is very, very important, is that the people who are doing the business, they always feel that the accrual basis accounting is correct, but they fail to understand if the payment is not received after 3 months or even 6 months or 1 year, that is a dead loss. Secondly, which I would like to add is, yes, what about the interest thing? Because you are losing every day the interest on that money if you would have received on the D-Day 1. So this is also a net loss for the business. And he has given one more thing, that is the retirement plan for the mature businessmen or the entrepreneurs, that one should keep some backup, some reserves, something for the backup, some any crisis. Like now we are seeing the crisis in the pandemic time. If you have a backup, if you have something, you should have be sustained. So according to Professor Dr. Srinivas, it is a very, very challenging thing. But if they will make a proper roadmap, they have a business plan, they will do all those things, then they can work in a very, very proper way. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Srinivasan R, for giving your views. Now I would like to invite my next panelist, and he is Mr. Subrata Mukherjee. Mr. Mukherjee is the president of Indian Business and Professional Council, United Arab Emirates. He is also holding senior level management position with one of the world renowned ceramic industry, RAK Ceramics subsidiary in Ceramen. He holds excellent leadership uh, training seminars and certificates trained in Kaizen from Kaizen Institute. He was trained and certified in influential leadership from Dale Carnegie Training, Associate of Dale Carnegie and Associate Incorporation USA. He was trained and certified in team building management and business etiquettes workshop by Setup Middle East, Dubai, UAE. He was trained and certified in IFRS and ICC, International Chamber of Commerce, corporate governance, business strategy seminars with IIM Calcutta for VUCA World. He is senior management professional holding MBA with International Trade Master of Commerce, IACCA, CMA, and CFAS, certified with completion of financial integration and sustainable development in Southeast Asia from ADB Institute, and certified completion of accounting fundamental from Corporate Finance Institute, CFI. He is also fellow member from Institute of Directors. Welcome, Mr. Subrata Mukherjee, on our show. Mr. Mukherjee, you have heard Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal as well as Professor Dr. Srinivas R. So now we would like to know your views on the challenges for first generation entrepreneurs. Mr. Subrata Mukherjee, please.
First of all, thank you very much and very good morning to all of you. Mr. Goel ji, thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to speak in this particular forum. Dr. Agarwal Saab and Dr. Srinivas and Dr. Abraham. There are very reputed speakers in front of me, and I respect all of them. I respect all the guests who is not visible over here, and all the listener, whoever is listening. Once again, I would like to thank, and then I would like to share my views on this particular platform. Yes, the first generation entrepreneurs is the synonym for the new entrepreneurs. They are actually the whole wealth creator. And also we can say they are the employment creator, which can contribute to the society or the economy for any other country. Of course, they are the fresh leaders, and when they are fresh, there are many challenges are there, which they have to face, they have to overcome it. I will come back to all those points, and I also basically highlight some of the solutions, what they can, do, because what I have also experienced in my, life, I will also share with that, during my 22 years of practical experience. The new generation entrepreneurship is one who succeed in influencing the society with a project, idea, innovation by revealing what is not and trying to untested. These people have created innovative companies. We know everything about the Microsoft nowadays, SpaceX, Apple, Google, etc. Now, Goel has said that basically the challenges, what are the challenges they're facing? Entrepreneurship comes with host of challenges because they are either fresh, they are either for IIT, IIM, and then starting it, or probably they are having the past experience working with some of the corporates, and they would like to start something new. Obviously, when they are going to start something new, there will be many challenges, and rewarding the challenges and getting the success is called successful entrepreneurs. There are so many entrepreneurs who have startup during the, but success rate is very less as per the statistics, or our respected guest has already explained. I don't want to repeat it. What I have seen, particularly, the challenges, what I would say that, abandoning the career. Let's say I was working in a very multinational companies, with a very high post, with a 9 to 5 job or 9 to 6, whatever it is. So basically I'm leaving that and starting up something new, and I am going through the tunnel, and the tunnel is full of dark. I don't know when it's going to end it. So being an entrepreneur, you should have a vision, clear vision. What is your vision? Based on the vision, you should reach the next level. Of course, the next challenges are the financing. Being a new entrepreneur or the new startup, financing is a big challenge because nobody will trust you unless and until you have a proper business plan or having the proper model, as Dr. Goel has said, and also Dr. Srinivasan is saying. So of course, these are the challenges. And then third challenge is, I would say, the team building, because being an entrepreneur, you have started a new venture and you cannot run the business alone. You need to have a good team along with you. As per my practical experience, because some of the new gentlemen who are just passed across IIT, IIM or from the MBAs and they have started those things, of course, they have good ideas. They have excellent thoughts and the background of the studies. But the experience, do they have the huge experience to run the organization? Running the organization and giving a thought on the business is two different things, I feel. So my suggestion and I should be, being entrepreneurs, of course, you share your ideas and form a company and start up, but you hire or employ somebody who is a genius in the business in terms of, giving them a directorship position, or is a where you can get a lead and get a advices, because we may fail, we may make many mistakes during our, because there are a lot of challenges we are going through, because being entrepreneurs, you have to have entire in your mind. I would say when 360 degrees mind setup, you have to work on it. So team building and creating a proper team is also a big challenges. And being a big visionary, you have to have a broad vision. We cannot work for the short-term vision, because as entrepreneurs, Dr. Srinivasan has said, the 3 years, 5 years, what about the beyond 5 years? I personally feel to get success in any business, it will not come in one day, or it will not come even 1 year. You have to have proper nurturing with the time frame. Whatever business you want to start, whatever model you have, whether in terms of IT, whether it's in terms of EdTech, whether it's agri-tech, whether in terms of FinTech, whatever it is, it takes time. And we have seen in our past experiences, whether it is a matter of, Elon Musk, he is not got today being an Elon Musk. He has done several work, Mark Zuckerberg, Apple, whatever, we take an example. So the vision, aligning proper with the vision, with the time frame, we have to create timeline, 1, 2, 3, 4, step by steps. Then only I think we will get success. Of course, unknown, dealing with unknown, because being an entrepreneur, many challenges will come which is not known to us. Some of the challenges will come that which be the big constraints for our business, like recent COVID. Nobody was aware this COVID could happen. Then if this thing has happened, and I have started the business in 2019, and the COVID started in 2020, and still it is going on, and you don't have the market capacities or proper marketing or proper sales plan or revenue making plan, then how you're going to get success? So we don't know the uncertainties. So how to deal with unknown is also one of the big challenges, and we should know how to overcome it, being a good entrepreneur and the successful entrepreneurs. Another thing is also, I feel, entrepreneurship with a loneliness, because when you're entrepreneurs, you are sacrificing many of the things and you feel sometimes you're alone. But Dr. Agarwal said very good point. I really admire him that don't feel like that. You share with your network, share with your friend, share with your family, and everybody is left out. Your family is your best friend. Discuss with your wife, discuss with your brother, discuss with your parents. They may be the good advisor. Maybe they are not aligning with your proper business model, but some sort of ideas they can give, which will be clicked. Even personally, I have realized that sometimes sharing with the families is a great motivation thing. So don't feel loneliness. Be mingle up with the people, try to establish more contact, try to establish more networking. You will learn a lot of things from the networking, because when you're networking with the people, they are well educated, well versed, well experienced, and the experience is not coming from one day. The decades of years they have done the research, then only they're coming up the experience. So those experiences will definitely help. And then decision making. Decision making is very, very important thing. Being an entrepreneur, you are the owners. Nobody is above you. So the judgmental thing, which is very, very important. You should have a proper judgment. What kind of judgment you should take, and based on that judgment, whether you're going to get success or not, that will also depend. There are many examples, because there is sort of time I could not take it to the example wise. If I allow, I will definitely take it, because there are many examples is there. As he said just now, JK's example with the Reliance, because Reliance, see, what is judgment? They have diversified their portfolio in the different from Vimal to Oil. Now the Geo platform came. What an amazing thing. They realize that digitalization is the world. World is going to a digital way. They created a platform, Geo. Look, the foreign investors has, a huge investment has come during the lockdown, during the pandemic, which nobody ever anticipated. That means it's a huge decision-making things. It's not coming, all of a sudden. There is a solid backup plan, solid teamwork, solid thought process, solid backed by the intellectual people. So that is how you see how, despite on this market, the share prices are going up. They are doing well, fantastic. So these sort of decision-making things will help. One of the things you can see, the EdTech Baiju, there are many competitors are there in the market. In the EdTech field, education technological field, QMath is there, your Khan Academy is there. I was talking to them in the last week. They said, sir, you are right. So basically, I would say the decision-making thing is very, very important, particularly for any entrepreneurs. Because entrepreneurs, we are young, we are new. Sometimes the entrepreneurs take hasty decisions, even team building. Because team part, you cannot run the show alone. You have to have your team. So when you have to have your team, the decision makes a lot, because you have to give respect to your elder. You may be the owner of the business, that is fine. But the people who are having knowledge, if you can hire them and take them their guidance, and basically they will also help you out. And Sir has also said the raising capital. Of course, this is a big challenge. Means, of course, venture capitalist will come, but how to do it? For that, your model valuation has to be there, and you need to make a valuation, your presentation for you need a financial modeling, all those things. There are many challenges, cash flow management challenges, dealing with the people is the challenges, because it is not very easy to deal with the people. You may be the owner, when you deal with the people, you have to have humbleness at front of time. Because you are the beginner into the market. Nobody will give value unless and until you be humble. You just share your thoughts, sir, this is my plan. This is how we're going to educate, develop it, we want to start it, we want to make it something different for the society. And one more thing I believe, Entrepreneurs should not have only money making mind. No, it will never work. I believe anything or everything should work. What is the value addition, value creation you are doing, not only for yourself, your stakeholders, your society, your surroundings, that will make huge sense. When people realize this entrepreneurs is having this sort of broad mind, they will respect you, they will give value to you. And I would request one more thing: business marketing is very important, because this marketing is basically depending on the face to face. Oh, this guy will say, no, these people are really good, they are new entrepreneurs coming up with this. So these are my suggestions, and with the limited time there are many things to discuss. But thank you, Goel ji, thank you, Agarwal ji, and thank you, Srinivasan sir, everybody. Due respect to all. I know in front of the talk, maybe I have expressed my thoughts. Once again,
Okay.
thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Subrata Mukherjee, for giving your views, very clear views. And I will just highlight one or two points. One is, he says the wealth creator, this entrepreneurs are the wealth creator. And he made a very, very important point, that is the running of business and your ideas of product or services are always different. You cannot think that your brand, what you are thinking, and to run a business is a different thing. You have to be very, very I will use a word which is not good word, but should for running a business, because running business, to then only you will be making some profit. Otherwise, whatsoever good idea, whatsoever good product, you will not be able to run in profits. And he says that one has to deal with the unknown risk, like the pandemic time, nobody was knowing. So how you are going to have that contingencies plan, that is also very, very important. The decision making, farsightedness, and one very important point which Dr. Mohanlal Agarwal has mentioned about he said the loneliness, that never feel that if you, many times any businessman or entrepreneur feels that nobody is understanding him, but it is not like that. One has to go and share the views, his thoughts with the family and the peers or the networking, so that they can do. And one should be do some value for the, not for themselves, but for the society. That is a very, very important point, that if you will think for the society, then definitely the money will come, your business will be very, very flourishing. Thank you very much. As you said, the time, paucity of the time, I have to cut short my summarization also. So thank you very much, Mr. Subrata Mukherjee, for giving your views. Now I would like to invite my last but not the least panelist with us, and he is Professor Abraham Oe. Professor Abraham Oe is the board advisor of Gulf American University, UAE. He is an associate professor and author of writing articles for conferences and journals. He gives effective coaching for new startups. He is a board advisor for 5 institutions. He is also on board of external examiners for PhD students, thesis education of Bharatiya University. He is a peer reviewer of Common Ground Research Network, USA, and Texila International Journal, America. Welcome, Professor Abraham Oe, on our show. Professor Abraham, you have heard what Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agarwal, Professor Dr. Srinivasan, as well as Mr. Subrata Mukherjee has spoken. Now, we would like to know your views on the challenges for first generation entrepreneurs. Professor Abraham, please. Please unmute.
Thank you very much, everyone on the platform. I'm glad to be here today. First, I want to thank the host of the conference, Lal Goel. Quite a good job going on there. Thank you very much. Thumbs up for you. Professor Agarwal and the rest of Subrata and the rest of the speakers, I really am glad to be amongst us today. When it comes to the challenges of entrepreneurs, in a first generation bracket, I would say that quite a number of issues. The number of issues depend also on different factors like demography, like geography. Demography in terms of what is the age bracket of the persons in question, and looking at geography, there are peculiar problems in Europe, peculiar problems in Asia, peculiar situations in the Middle East, peculiar situations in America and the Americas, and all over the world, in South America, in Africa, there are lots of challenges that are quite geographic. Now, there are also problems that are associated with certain industries. For example, the banking industry, or I would say the finance industry, comprising the banking, the stock brokerage, the insurance brokers, and discount houses, and all of that. If you go into the fashion industry, you go into the confectionaries like paints and rest of them. You go into the food industry, you go into the travels and tours industry. There's a whole lot of problems associated with given environments. But for the purpose of this conference, I'd like to look at a very few things, out of which some of my colleagues right here have mentioned one or two. But I'm glad to mention those things because nobody have all the knowledge. Everyone is learning every day, and we know that no one is a reservoir of knowledge. Nobody have autonomy over knowledge. And so what you know in Toronto can also be known in Singapore. And what you know in Singapore can also be confirmed in Dubai. And what you confirm in Dubai can be confirmed by Subrata in Iraq, because no one owns all the knowledge. Okay. I want to look at the first one, which I have on my list very briefly, and which is the fear of the unknown. And I want to make it into two classifications. One is the one that my colleague mentioned earlier, which I personally want to call external. And because you're looking at the wider perspective, you had a plan for 2019 and 2020, the COVID came and then got everything so scattered, and no one predicted, no one knew what was going to happen, except for those who have the philosophy that there are people who knew this ahead of time, which is disputable or agreeable. But generally speaking, the market never knew what was going to happen. Now, let's look at it from the internal point of view. The fear of the unknown is so much in many people that with or without COVID, with or without tsunami, with or without whatever issues, they find it so difficult to leave their jobs and start new businesses. The fact that you are working with EMA Group, or you work with a Canadian brand, or you work with Amazon in America, or you work with Tata Motors in India, or you work with Tata Motors in India, and so when they bought Range Rover in the UK, you were moved to the UK to work, with an Indian global brand in the UK, and so you had no clue what the original owners went through at the very beginning. How they left their comfort zone to start something new before you ever heard about it. So many people who I trained some years ago in Africa in banking, who were bankers, way back well over 15 years ago in their MBA programs, these guys, work in bank, they put on the suits and then the very expensive cars and all of that. But they had the fear of, how can I meet my targets? How can I make this customer? How can I bring in these billions into the bank? How can I do this? How can I achieve that? How can I become the next GM of the bank? How can I become the next, award winner of the bank? But none of these guys have what it takes to resign from banking and start a new business. Research have proven in Africa that an average guy who works in a bank depends on loans and the money in the bank to survive. And so if he loses his job, in the next 6 months after he leaves the job, most of them are actually in trouble because they have no idea how to start. But they actually had ideas how to bring in the money from those who suffer to make the money. That's the challenge. So in Africa, in India, in China, in Singapore, in America, anywhere in the world, it doesn't matter what the nationality is. It doesn't matter if you're British, you're an American, it doesn't matter. Most people have the fear of the unknown. If I live here right now, what happens to me? If I leave this university right now, in Atlanta right now, can I start a new college? Can I start a new university? If I'm asked to start a university, for example, how do I get the money to start? If I'm asked to start a restaurant, for example, how do I start? The question, how do I get customers? So the fear is in most people. And this fear can be dealt with if it's dealt with not in theory, not by saying, hey, Mr. Fear, today I deal with you. No, not by words. We have to teach the young entrepreneurs, if they are young by age and by experience, or we have to teach the new entrepreneurs, if they are old by age or young by age, how to deal with the fears practically, not theoretically. Let them learn from us what we pass through. Let them learn from others what others pass through. Let them learn not the theory, but case studies of actual things that happen in reality, and how people rose and how they fell until they got to where they went, where they are today. Let them learn these things practically. So I look at it as the internal fear of the unknown. That's number one. Number two, I want to look at the question of lack of eagle eyes. Eagle. The eagle flies, the bird that flies above the mountains. And the eagle specializes in not only seeing differently, but seeing farther than every other bird on earth. So every new entrepreneur should be able to see things differently, not from the normal point of view, see things differently and see things from afar. Someone mentioned vision. You're starting a business and you are starting a business maybe by the base or by the start of a tunnel, and you have no clue how long the kilometers of the tunnel is. And right in the tunnel, there are actually turns that might just punch your legs and all of that, but you need to be strong and see far ahead until you see the light at the end of the tunnel. So everyone who is going into business should learn to think like the eagle. One, think differently. Don't think just outside the box. Think also beyond the box. Think beyond the box. Every business school says think outside the box. I am saying think far beyond the box, far away from the box. Go out of the norm and do what looks crazy, what looks abnormal. The world might say, no, it's not going to work. Tell the world that, yes, I'm going to be the first to make it work. I can also be an inventor. Number three, I want to look at lack of adequate knowledge. Everyone says that knowledge is power, and that is very true. But I want to say that knowledge is not just power, and getting knowledge is not enough to be a successful entrepreneur, but getting adequate knowledge, getting sufficient knowledge is relevant to starting a business and succeeding in the business. I have knowledge already. Do I have enough knowledge? I have knowledge already. Do I have sufficient knowledge? Can I be effective and be efficient in the business if I go into the business? What is effectiveness? Effectiveness has to do with how good you are able to deliver. That is effectiveness. What is efficiency? Efficiency has to do with the quantum of what you can provide. So if I do quality tea, for example, as a case study, and I serve a coffee, for example, to my customers, and the quality is very good, I am very effective. But if the quantity of coffee I'm able to provide to my teaming customers is enough, then I am efficient. So we need adequate knowledge to be effective, one, and number two, to be sufficient. And this is what everyone who is new to entrepreneurship have to has to learn. There's a place for learning, there's a place for training, and there's a place for practicing. People should learn to be trained adequately to be able to practice effectively. People should learn to do what? To get trained properly to be able to practice effectively. Very, very important. Very, very important. We cannot do without adequate knowledge. Knowledge as it has to do with a given industry. Knowledge has to do with your very self, what you can do and what you cannot do. And tell yourself the truth. What you cannot do, you cannot do. What you can do, you can do. Look for the areas of your strength and focus on those areas. Do not go compete with someone else because he might be thriving in the area of his strength. She might be thriving in the area of her strength. Do not do that because Alice is succeeding in coffee business. If your strength is fashion business, go into fashion business. It doesn't matter how long it might take you, but you will get there because your vision cannot be my vision. My vision cannot be your vision.
Okay, okay. Professor Abraham, time is so I have to just say thank you to you for this thing. So thank you very much, Professor Abraham, for giving your views. I will not be able to summarize because of the paucity of time. I am going to straight for the question. My first question goes to Professor Dr. Srinivasan, and I expect only 1 minute, not more than 1 minute reply. Do you think that the first generation entrepreneur are in hurry to become famous and rich overnight, and that's why they fail in their vision? Professor Dr. Srinivasan, please.
I would concur. I would concur with your views, sir, because as has already been discussed before also, that they are obsessed with their ideas. They hear from here and there that about the overnight, about the success stories. When they hear about the success stories, they tend to feel that it is the overnight success story. They do not see the hard work that has happened, that has gone beyond that, beyond the success story, and fail to read the readings on the wall. That is where they fail.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Srinivasan. Now, my question goes to Mr. Subrata Mukherjee. Mr. Subrata Mukherjee, overconfidence about themselves and their brand. And that is why they fail, because they feel that whatsoever they are doing, their idea, they are going to succeed. But as you mentioned about the running of business, do you think that is because of the overconfidence which this first generation entrepreneur have, and that's why they fail? Mr. Subrata Mukherjee, please.
Thank you very much, sir. It's a very valid point you said. Anything, whatever you think that's overconfidence, it's not only killing, it's a poison. So entrepreneurs should not have the overconfidence. They should have a vision. They should have proper business plan. They should have a proper execution plan. They should have proper, the channelizing their vision into the reality. So obviously, that
Yes,
is
please.
because it is. I have to give you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Mukherjee. Now, my question goes to Professor Abraham. Professor Abraham, many times it happens that the first time entrepreneur is having a vision and he wants to execute that vision. But the problem is the teamwork, as you have mentioned. Those team is not having the same vision what the first time entrepreneur is having. And that's why, because of this abnormality, the business fails. Do you agree?
Yes, I do agree. I very much agree with you on that. Yes, I very much agree with you on that. It is also key that the original vision here should make others, including stakeholders like Professor Agrawal mentioned, even the family, to buy into the vision. Buy into the vision also entails making the vision very clear, so they understand it very well and they can run with him along the lane. Otherwise, there are going to be issues along the way. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now, my question goes to Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal. Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal, it has been seen that a newly graduate or who has passed out from IIMs or IITs or the best universities of the world is always felt that what I am going to do, I do not want to be involved in any of the corruption or the malpractice. But when he came and when his vision and his ideas, when he wants to execute, he found everywhere the corruption is involved. He has to take 50 or 60 permissions, and for which he has to grease. And at that time, he shattered. And that's why one of the major failure of the first generation entrepreneur is that they are not knowing the reality of the corruption in many of the countries, and that's why they fail. What you say about this, Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal?
Thank you, sir. It's a very, very important question that you have asked. I would like to give an analogy of UAE. UAE has a fantastic concept called PRO. It is not the PRO that we know in India. This PRO is the person who will facilitate all your documentation, all your process without you getting involved into that, because he knows what to say, what to do, what not to do, what not to say. They are very well versed with the local language, local things, local customs. So businessmen do the job that they do, and PRO does the job that they do. My feeling is that in India also you will see some very, very organized as well as unorganized business facilitators, services, which will be providing such services to the startups, to the small entrepreneurs, so that they are left alone to manage their dream, to manage their business. As far as these things are concerned, let's leave it for someone else to handle. You handle the way you are and keep focused on your business. That is what
Okay.
I would say.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal. So, viewers, you have seen that the first generation entrepreneurs have lots of challenges, and that's why the only 3 to 5% enterprises exist now after such a time. But the main reason is that as it emerged from this media conference, is that the first generation entrepreneur should take confidence of the family, try to not be overconfident, and see to it that they should have a proper roadmap for their businesses, and then only they can succeed. And if they want interested to become overnight famous and the rich, then the business is not their cup of tea. Then they should do service in one of the major organizations, and they should also understand, as our Professor Abraham has said, about the geographical as well as the demographical conditions of the business. Then only they will succeed. So thank you very much. And today's program has been live telecasted by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, News Gaon se, Malnadu TV India, Samvad Sarokar News, as well as it was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor in our evening edition of Kal Aaj Aur Kal Lal Goel Ke Sang, where we introduce you with somebody who is a famed person, who has reached who has achieved in his lifetime lots of achievement. And today my chief guest in the program Kal Aaj Aur Kal Lal Goel Ke Sang at 4:30 p.m. is Mr. Viren Saxena, famous Bollywood and Hollywood actor, Mumbai. And he is going to tell in half an hour times from 4:30 to 5 his life journey, his autobiography from his own mouth, from the child to his road of success. So one can take the inspiration from the road of success of Mr. Viren Saxena. So please tune in today for Kal Lal Goel Ke Sang at 4:30 p.m. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Srinivasan R. Thank you very much, Mr. Subrata Mukherjee. And thank you very much, Professor Abraham Oe. And thank you all the viewers for listening such an enlightening discussion and their views from all the